Once upon a time, far away in the enchanting land of glimmering glades, nestled amidst rolling hills and beneath a canopy of twinkling stars, lived a little firefly named Flicker. Now, Glimmering Glades was a place of magic and wonder, a haven for all sorts of whimsical creatures. But Flicker's story was unique. You see, Flicker wasn't like the other fireflies who inhabited this luminous realm. They all possessed bright, bold glows, perfectly synchronized and powerful enough to illuminate entire meadows, ideal for lighting up the night with their radiant displays. These were fireflies whose lights could guide lost travelers and paint the night sky with breathtaking artistry. But Flicker had a tiny, sometimes sputtering glow. It was so small, so faint, that some of the other fireflies didn't even notice him, mistaking him for a distant, insignificant star. His diminutive light often left him feeling inadequate, a tiny spark in a galaxy of dazzling stars. He longed to shine as brightly as his peers, to participate in their dazzling aerial displays, to feel the confidence that came with a strong, unwavering glow. He lived near a giant ancient oak tree named Old Man Willow. Old Man Willow was more than just a tree. He was a sentinel, a living library of glimmering glades. He had seen countless seasons change, felt the caress of 1,000 breezes, and witnessed the ebb and flow of life in the glades for centuries. His branches reached up to the sky like welcoming arms, offering shelter to birds and squirrels and a resting place for weary travelers. His leaves whispered secrets to the wind, tales of forgotten times and prophecies of the future, and he was widely regarded as the wisest creature in all of Glimmering Glades. He was a repository of knowledge, a confidant, and a friend to all who sought his counsel. Flicker loved to sit near Old Man Willow, listening to the rustling of his leaves. It sounded like a gentle song, a lullaby that made Flicker feel safe and warm. The rhythmic sway of the leaves was a soothing balm to his anxious heart, and the scent of oak and earth filled his senses with a sense of belonging. He'd tell Old Man Willow his worries about his tiny glow, how he wished he could shine as brightly as the others. He confessed his feelings of inadequacy, his fear of being insignificant, and his longing to contribute to the vibrant tapestry of Glimmering Glades. Old Man Willow, in his infinite wisdom, listened patiently, offering no judgment, only understanding. He knew that true light came not from the brightness of a glow, but from the kindness of a heart. One day, Flicker was feeling particularly glum. His glow was barely visible, a faint glimmer struggling against the encroaching darkness, and he'd accidentally bumped into another firefly who hadn't even seen him coming. The other firefly, startled and annoyed, had brushed him aside without a word, further reinforcing Flicker's feelings of insignificance. "Oh, Old Man Willow," he sighed, his little voice barely a whisper, heavy with disappointment. "I wish I could be bright like the others. I feel like I'm no use at all. I'm just a tiny spark in a world of brilliant lights." The leaves of Old Man Willow rustled softly, as if he were thinking hard, contemplating the weight of Flicker's words. Then a gentle voice, like the creaking of old wood, resonated through the air. "Little Flicker," he said, "your light may be small, but it is still important. Every light, no matter how dim, helps to chase away the darkness. Even the smallest star contributes to the brilliance of the night sky." Flicker looked up at Old Man Willow, his little light flickering uncertainly. He struggled to grasp the wisdom of Old Man Willow's words. He couldn't understand how his tiny light could possibly make a difference. "But what can I do? I can't even light up a flower petal." Old Man Willow chuckled, a deep rumbling sound that shook his ancient branches. "There is a place in Glimmering Glades, a place where even the smallest light can make a big difference. It's called the Shadowy Hollow. The moon doesn't reach there, and it's always very, very dark." The Shadowy Hollow was a place whispered about in hushed towns throughout Glimmering Glades, a place shrouded in mystery and rumored to be inhabited by strange and reclusive creatures. It was a place avoided by most, a place where the sun's rays struggled to penetrate the thick canopy of trees, and the moon offered no solace. Flicker shivered. "The Shadowy Hollow? But I've heard it's scary." "It may seem that way," Old Man Willow said, "but the creatures there are just lonely. They need a little light to guide them, a little spark of hope to brighten their lives." Flicker thought about it for a moment. The Shadowy Hollow sounded frightening, a place of unknown dangers, but he also felt a tug in his heart. He wanted to help. He realized that his desire to shine brightly was not just about vanity, but about a genuine desire to make a positive impact on the world around him. "Okay," he said, his voice a little stronger this time, filled with newfound resolve. "I'll go to the Shadowy Hollow." Old Man Willow smiled, his leaves rustling with approval. "That's my brave little Firefly," he said. "Now, to get there, you must follow the Whispering Stream. It will lead you through the glades and to the edge of the hollow." The Whispering Stream was a winding waterway that snaked through Glimmering Glades, its waters carrying secrets and stories from one corner of the land to another. It was a source of life, providing sustenance to the plants and animals that called the glades home. So Flicker set off on his adventure. He followed the Whispering Stream, its waters gurgling a soft melody. The moonlight, soft and silvery, guided his way through the trees. He passed sleeping flowers, their petals closed tight for the night, and heard the gentle chirping of crickets hidden in the grass. The journey was long and arduous, but Flicker pressed on, driven by his determination to help those in need. As he got closer to the Shadowy Hollow, the air grew cooler and the trees grew taller and closer together. The moonlight couldn't penetrate the thick canopy, and it became darker and darker. Flicker's little light flickered nervously. He could feel the weight of the shadows pressing in on him, and the silence was broken only by the rustling of unseen creatures. He reached the edge of the hollow. It looked like a gaping mouth, swallowing all the light. He could hear strange rustling sounds and the hooting of an owl in the distance. He almost turned back, succumbing to his fear and self-doubt. But then he remembered Old Man Willow's words. "Every light, no matter how dim, helps to chase away the darkness." He took a deep breath and flew into the Shadowy Hollow. It was even darker than he imagined. He could barely see a thing. His little light seemed to shrink even smaller, overwhelmed by the oppressive darkness. He felt a wave of panic wash over him, but he refused to give up. Suddenly, he heard a whimper. It was a tiny sound, but he heard it nonetheless. He flew towards the sound, his little light guiding him. He saw a small creature huddled under a large, gnarled root. It was a grublin, a little creature with big eyes and soft fur. He looked lost and scared. Grublins are usually very social creatures who thrive within a community, so this little one was undoubtedly experiencing great distress. "Hello?" Flicker said, his voice trembling slightly. The grublin looked up, his eyes widening in surprise. "Who's there?" he squeaked. "It's me, Flicker," said the Firefly. "I'm a firefly." The Grublin squinted. "A firefly? But you're so small." Flicker sighed. "I know," he said, "but I wanted to help." "Help?" the Grublin said. "I'm lost. I can't find my way back to my family." "I'll help you," Flicker said, puffing out his chest a little. "I'll light the way." And so Flicker led the Grublin through the shadowy hollow. His little light wasn't very bright, but it was enough to show the Grublin the path. They walked past strange-looking mushrooms, their caps glowing faintly in the darkness, and around twisted trees that looked like they were reaching out to grab them. The Grublin was still scared, but he felt a little better with Flicker by his side. Flicker told him stories about Old Man Willow and the whispering stream, and about the bright lights of the other fireflies. He tried to distract the Grublin from his fear by painting vivid pictures of glimmering glades, describing the vibrant colors and the joyful sounds. Finally, after what seemed like a very long time, they reached a small clearing. In the center of the clearing, a group of Grublins were huddled together, looking worried. "Mommy, Daddy!" the little Grublin cried, running towards them. The other Grublins rushed to greet him, hugging him tightly. They were so happy to see him safe. Relief washed over their faces as they embraced their lost child. The Grublin's mother turned to Flicker. "Thank you," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "You saved our little one. We were so worried." Flicker blushed, his light flickering even brighter. He said, "It was nothing. I just wanted to help." The Grublins led Flicker to a small, cozy burrow. They offered him warm berries and sweet nectar. He sat with them for a while, telling them more stories about glimmering glades. He shared tales of adventure and friendship, hoping to bring a little bit of joy to their lives. As the night wore on, Flicker started to feel sleepy. The warmth of the burrow and the kindness of the Grublins made him feel safe and comfortable. He snuggled down into a bed of soft moss. The Grublins sang him a gentle lullaby, their voices soft and soothing. Flicker closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep, his little light glowing softly. When he woke up, the sun was just beginning to rise. The Grublins were already up and about, preparing breakfast. They thanked Flicker again for his help. "You're a very brave and kind firefly," the Grublin's father said. "Don't ever forget that, even if your light is small." Flicker smiled. He knew he would never forget. He said goodbye to the Grublins and flew back towards glimmering glades. As he flew, he noticed that his light seemed a little brighter, a little stronger. His act of kindness had fueled his inner light, making it shine with a renewed sense of purpose. He returned to Old Man Willow and told him all about his adventure in the shadowy hollow. Old Man Willow listened patiently, his leaves rustling with approval. "I knew you could do it, little Flicker," he said. "You have a kind heart, and that is the brightest light of all." Flicker smiled. He finally understood. It didn't matter that his light wasn't as bright as the others. What mattered was that he used his light to help others, to chase away the darkness, even in the smallest way. From that day on, Flicker continued to visit the shadowy hollow, bringing light and comfort to the creatures who lived there. He became known as Flicker the Kind, the firefly who wasn't afraid of the dark. And as for his light, well, it still wasn't the brightest light in glimmering glades, but it was bright enough to make a difference, bright enough to show the way, bright enough to bring a little bit of joy to the world. Back in his little nook by Old Man Willow, the other fireflies started to notice Flicker. They saw him returning from his trips to Shadowy Hollow, and they heard the stories of his bravery and kindness. They realized that being bright wasn't just about having a big glow, but about having a big heart. One evening, as the fireflies gathered for their nightly dance, they all turned to Flicker. "Flicker," said the brightest of the fireflies, a dazzling light named Lumi, "we've been blind. We were so busy showing off our own lights that we didn't see how much you were doing for others." Flicker, surprised, simply flickered his light in response. Lumi continued, "We want you to lead us tonight, Flicker. Lead us with your kind light." And so Flicker did. He led the other fireflies on a gentle journey through glimmering glades, not just showing off, but looking for places that needed a little extra light. They lit up the dark corners of the forest, helped lost moths find their way home, and even guided a sleepy snail back to its garden. The other fireflies learned that night that kindness could make even the brightest light shine even brighter. They learned from Flicker that the smallest light, when used with a good heart, can make the biggest difference. From then on, Glimmering Glades was even more beautiful, not just because of the bright lights, but because of the kindness that glowed within them all. And Flicker, he was no longer just the firefly with the small light. He was Flicker the Kind, a reminder to everyone that even the smallest of us can do great things. Back in his cozy spot near Old Man Willow, Flicker felt a deep sense of peace. He was tired from his adventures, but happy. The warm moonlight filtered through the leaves of the old oak, casting dappled shadows on the ground. He closed his eyes, listening to the gentle rustling of the leaves, a lullaby just for him. And as the stars twinkled above and the fireflies danced in the glades, little Flicker drifted off to sleep, dreaming of kindness and light and the joy of helping others. He knew that tomorrow would bring new adventures, new opportunities to shine his little light, and that made him feel warm and content. He snuggled into his bed of moss, a tiny beacon of hope in the heart of Glimmering Glades. He was safe, he was loved, and he was making a difference. Good night.